Hello and welcome to State of the Economy, a show that connects you with prominent policymakers and thinkers. Today we have with us Mr. Nandan Nilekani, Chairman of the UIDAI Authority, which is seeking to give a billion plus people in this country a unique identity. It's a project which has the potential to transform the way we live, the way we do things. Welcome to our show, Mr. Nilekani.
Thanks, Venu.
I will begin with you telling us some of the big transformative projects that you're doing, which would indeed transform the way we do things, the way we collect taxes. Yesterday, I was seeing your contribution to the GST framework, where you're trying to build a technology platform to ensure collection of taxes, indirect taxes in this country in a completely new format. Now, we have read and a lot about the UIDAI Authority. Now, I would since we are near the union budget, I would like to talk about what is this new project, technology platform that you're trying to create about to make goods and services tax a transformative experience.
Well, sure. The purpose of the government is to create a GST back office, and it's called the GST network. And this proposal has been mooted both by the Finance Minister and the Finance Ministry, as well as by the Empowered Committee of State Finance Ministers under the leadership of Mr. Sushil Modi of Bihar. And basically the idea is that you create a common technology platform that handles returns, entity registration and tax paying, which means that a taxpayer anywhere in the country will use the same way to pay taxes, the same way to register in the system, the same way to give returns and so forth. So this will really create a platform, and it will allow, and this will be the proposal is to create a company which will be a non-profit company, non-government company, and the states will also be partners in this company. So it's a very unique format, and we think it will have a big impact on streamlining and simplifying GST.
Do you think what really impresses me most about the GST, the goods and services tax, is that it has the potential to bring into the indirect tax net, and therefore eventually to the direct tax net, a vast amount of economic activity in this country, which is below the radar today. For instance, the real estate sector, below the radar. And there is a political economy of the real estate sector. Now, do you think this framework based on a seamless technology platform between center and states can actually bring all these economic activities to the fore and in some ways attack black money?
Well, see, which particular economic activity in and out of the GST is a policy decision which I'm not involved with. But what will happen is that, for one thing, we'll have much better data sort of mapping of taxpayers' data between center and state. The other important decision which they have taken is to have the PAN number as the common ID for all.
PAN number.
So this is very important because income tax, customs, excise, service tax already have the PAN number as a unifying key. Now, if all the state VAT systems also use PAN number unifying key, then your tax evasion and tax avoidance will come down. And therefore, I think all this will have a huge impact both on increasing revenues as well as in increasing the net of taxpayers as well as reducing evasion.
And do you think that this GST also requires a cooperative framework between the center and states? And do you think that the state governments and regional parties who run state governments are excited enough with this whole idea?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, the Empowered Committee of State Finance Ministers and Mr. Sushil Modi personally have been very, very supportive of the idea of the GSTN, and they see the immense value of creating a cooperative body which is jointly owned by the center and by the states and by other parties, and creating a professional company setup which will run the GSTN network.
Yeah, I remember when NSDL was launched, there were too many skeptics saying that how can a dematerialized system of shares transaction ever work?
Yeah.
So there is a certain, I guess, skepticism towards technology, but But India, I guess, has do you think it has
absolutely.
reached a point, has
Definitely.
crossed the hump where technology is ready to get married to political economy needs?
I think so, because the problems, the challenges we have, the challenge of scale, the challenge of doing things fast, the challenge of creating a platform, only technology can be used for that. Now, another good example is the NPCI, the National Payment Corporation of India, which again is a Section 25 company set up by the banks, which is now becoming essentially the small transaction ATM, point of sale, micro ATM transaction backbone, switching backbone. So these are all great examples of new structure that we are creating, which will create back office platforms to run large Indian public programs.
And it also, it fascinates me how technology, if the political economy is ready, how technology can bring transparency in the way you transform your the way you do things in innovation. For instance, I remember Mr. Nitish Kumar once saying that in a highly caste-ridden society, technology actually can help you cut through actually caste biases when you're delivering public services, welfare programs. Do you also believe that?
No, totally. For example, let's say you deliver a welfare program on the mobile phone. Suppose I'm able to find out the status of my PDS on my mobile phone or the status of my certificate on the mobile phone. That mobile phone has no appreciation of your background, so it's a leveler. It basically, so it's definitely, I think, I mean, the electronic voting machine, it's a great achievement of the Election Commission. So I think, the great story of the last 20 years is how technology has become so deeply embedded in our lives and has created such value and convenience for everybody.
We'll take a small break here. Don't go away. Keep watching Rajya Sabha TV. Welcome back to State of the Economy. We are having a conversation with Mr. Nandan Nilekani, Chairman of the Unique Identification Authority of India. Nandan, we were talking about how technology truly transforms social and economic life. Now, I'll come back to the UID experiment. Now, you faced a lot of resistance initially from various quarters to the unique identity project. There were issues of privacy raised by sections of society. Now, my sense is that we've crossed those humps. I think it's now come to be accepted as a need, which is as a utilitarian need for society. And I also sense that that a lot of people in colonies around various cities where you're giving those identity to people, there's a huge rush from especially the poor, from the migrant labor. Now, India has about 150 million, by some rough estimate, migrant labor which works outside their home states every year. How will this impact their lives? I just want to understand
what we're doing is we're giving the world's first digital online ID. So we're taking people from a world where they have no identity as acknowledged by the state to an online identity which works everywhere. And because it's online identity which is on the cloud, so to speak, on the internet, the identity travels with you. So for the mobile Indian who's, say, migrating from a village to the city or from north to the south, the ID travels with him. So it'll be India's first truly mobile national identity. So I think it will very much benefit migrants and people with no identity.
How will it get linked to financial inclusion? Now, one of the problems that most migrant laborers have is they go to a bank and the bank tells them, where's your address? What's your what's your KYC? So, has that started happening?
Yes, the government under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act has notified Aadhaar as a KYC for.
It has notified.
Yeah, and the Reserve Bank has specifically notified Aadhaar as a KYC, proof of ID, proof of address for bank accounts. So essentially, it means that anybody who has an Aadhaar number can go and open a bank account in a much simpler manner. And we'll now hopefully progress to online authentication, which makes it even simpler. But it's not. That's only one part of it. One part of it is the fact that we can make account opening easier. The second part of it is that Aadhaar becomes a financial address for all electronic benefits. So the government is paying a pension to some person. They just have to give the Aadhaar number and the amount, and then the entire back office takes over.
So this whole rigmarole of visiting a office to get your pension. And
We hope, yeah, obviously that's a goal. Because yesterday we submitted the report on Aadhaar enabled payments to the finance minister. And the proposal is to create a network of 10 lakhs or 1 million micro ATMs around the country. So if we can put money into people's account and they can go to any one of these micro ATM to withdraw the money, then suddenly you have empowered them and made life more convenient for them.
Yeah, and there's this micro ATMs, you said, what will be the cost? The cost benefit, how does it work?
No, it'll be well worth it. I mean, you know, India spends 300,000 crores a year on entitlements and subsidies. And the domestic remittance market is 100,000 crores, which is the money sent by people from working in the city to their homes in the villages. Compared to that, this will just cost a few thousand crores to roll out. So it's well worth it.
Well worth it.
These things are,
in fact, now coming to expenditure, now I find that expenditure on these technologies which have the potential to bring transparency, they of late, at least in recent months, they became somewhat of an issue. Of course, they got resolved. Like the Home Ministry had some issues. There was some talk of duplication of expenditure on doing the biometrics because the Home Ministry also does population register. Now that issue is behind us.
Yes, absolutely. We've had a very amicable and very well elegant solution, which has been approved by the cabinet. So both will be doing enrollment, and if a person has got an Aadhaar number from some other source, when he goes to the NPR, then he doesn't give his biometrics again. So all these things have been sorted out.
So now this entire exercise will be done by the UID authority?
No. We have a mandate. See, we have enrolled 20 crore people, which is 200 million, and we now have a mandate to enroll another 400 million in some designated states and union territories where we are already active. And the NPR will cover the rest. So the idea is between the two programs. The goal is to get as many people with a number as soon as possible. Because that becomes the platform on which all these other programs will ride.
And this expenditure duplication is avoided now.
Yeah, because you don't, if a guy already has an Aadhaar number, you don't take his biometrics again.
You don't take his biometrics again.
Which was the main issue.
Which was the main issue. So, now, the next step is you move from 200 million to about 600 million?
Yes, that's the goal. But what is now exciting is the applications have started rolling out. You know, we are now doing Narega payments in Jharkhand. Pensions and scholarships also have been tried out. The Petroleum Ministry is doing LPG cash transfers project in Mysore. The mobile industry is now looking at using Aadhaar as a KYC for mobile connections. The PDS reform, Aadhaar is a very core component of that because they're using it to deduplicate the beneficiary databases and so forth. So across the board now we are seeing 5 or 6 major initiatives. For example, the HRD Ministry and Mr. Sibal have integrated Aadhaar with Akash. So you can do an online authentication of a person on an Akash tablet. Yeah. So all these, you know, various
initiatives are coming
together. You know, the government is rolling out this national optical fiber network, which will provide the backbone connectivity for online applications. The DIT has rolled out the mobile services, gateway, which we are going to use for mobile services. So, you know, all the various things are all coming together. And then there's the electronic service delivery bill, which the DIT is promoting for electronic delivery of services. So when you look at all these, you know, it's a wonderful opportunity to bring all this together and make an impact on the lives of common people with technology.
You know, and Nandan, you would agree that the real test of Aadhaar and its outcome, positive outcome, will come only after you actually determine how much of the welfare programs on ground have been delivered through this system,
absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
Like you have I remember you telling us that you have a target of 3 lakh crore of various subsidies, Narega payments to be delivered through this platform. Now, how much, by when do you think you'll achieve this?
Well,
delivering 3 lakh crore
it's early days yet. But yesterday when we presented the report to the finance minister, his main mandate was how to scale up and roll out now. So the next couple of years, it will be scaling up and rolling out, which means 2 things. One is more and more programs going through this pipe. Narega payments, pension payments, scholarships, Janani Suraksha Yojana payments, Anganwadi workers payments, Asha workers payments. We have to systematically go to every organization, every state government, and they need to bring it on board. But because of platform, it's easy for them to snap this onto this platform. And the second thing is the rolling out of the micro ATMs. Yeah. The report has suggested that we roll out 1 million or 10 lakh micro ATMs.
And these will be in rural areas?
Yes, rural areas or in low income areas in cities. Essentially, take financial, it's the democratization of financial service and essentially creating a high volume, low cost, small transaction value network.
We'll take a small break and then come back to financial inclusion.
Sure.
Here we'll go for a small break. Don't go away. Keep watching Raj Sabha Television. Welcome back to State of the Economy. We are having a conversation with Mr. Nandan Nilekani, Chairman of UIDAI Authority. Nandan, we were discussing financial inclusion. Now, this 60 years after independence, this is one of the most intractable issues policymakers are grappling with. 50% of India is still unbanked, no formal access to banking. Would in fact increase banking access for the poor in a non-linear way. What's your sense?
No, I think we have reached the tipping point. And actually, we're building on a lot of great work done by the government and by the Reserve Bank. You know, the concept of business correspondents, then the for-profit business correspondents, the concept of using technology for delivery, mobile banking, no-frills accounts, simplification of KYC. All these things have already been done. Microfinance, then the setting up of the NPCI by the banks. RBI actually moved their payment backbone to NPCI. So all these things have laid the foundation. And now we think that with the identity program of Aadhaar as well as the micro ATM and the yesterday's report, I think now all the pieces of the puzzle have come together. And certainly the FM was very clear that now the time has come to scale up and roll out. We talked about scaling up and rolling out. Yeah.
Now this, I believe State Bank of India already has put in place about 60,000 banking correspondents, or
I don't know the numbers, but it's going to take off now because what's going to happen is that the technology will drive the costs down and reduce risk, reduce fraud and all that. And as more and
incentivize banks to penetrate,
and as more and more money flows through this financial network, there'll be more money and therefore that will create more income. And one more thing we have recommended is that our recommendation is that for these last mile payments, which are where people withdraw these small value transactions at micro ATMs, we have suggested a transaction fee of 3.14%. Of course, the government will decide what should be the final fee. So once there's a transaction fee, then the BC will become viable. So once you do all these things together, it will essentially make this an activity which all the banks will take as a very serious opportunity for them.
But do you think, Nandan, there's a need to actually look at banking in a completely different way? Traditional bankers, they seem to look at banking in their old format. Now, the kind of technology that are being envisaged, which you're trying to bring in, is it running ahead of the thinking in the banking sector?
No, I think there are quite a few very thoughtful bankers who understand the implications of this. So either existing banks or new banks who come up will likely come with a radically different business model, which is entirely on the technology, which is entirely through ATMs, point of sale, internet, micro ATMs, very few branches, everything online, real time, mobile banking. So it will create a whole new revenue model, cost structure. But that will happen. I mean, I'm quite confident that some innovative bank will figure it out.
Sometimes there's also a sense that the regulator is also a bit apprehensive. That regulators are supposed to be conservative.
You know, in the last 2.5 years, the Reserve Bank has been extraordinarily supportive of anything that involves extending financial services to people and anything that involves technology. In fact, I think they've been very, very progressive, whether it's BCs, micro ATMs, interoperability, smart cards. You know, they've really been pushing the envelope. So actually, we have had an excellent, partnership with RBI.
We have a budget coming now, and one of the biggest pressures on the budget is to consolidate the fisc. Now that requires rationalization of expenditure. Now, do you think that the time is right for some of these technologies to kick in and help the government actually reduce expenditure simply by avoiding leakages?
Our initial thing shows when Aadhaar is used in PDS, the number of beneficiaries reduced because all the ghost beneficiaries go away. Yesterday, when we had a young man, the DM from Jharkhand, speaking about Narega, when they linked the Narega job cards to the Aadhaar number in their district, there was at least 10% of ghosts that went away. So there are many examples of that.
Like, for instance, a widely quoted example is some 15,000 crores worth of kerosene every year gets mixed up with diesel.
So
I mean, it's misdirected.
So fundamentally, if we can make sure by Aadhaar deduplication that there are no ghost beneficiaries, and then by Aadhaar authentication, make sure that only the genuine person gets the money or the kerosene, you will definitely streamline the thing. And that's the intention of the finance minister. Why he's so passionate about supporting all this is he sees this as a way to make subsidies more efficient and reduce diversion.
Diversion, yeah. And the 3 lakh crore that you spoke about as the initial target for the UID framework, so that contains what all?
See, the 3 lakh crores is simply the budget, which is the 1,50,000 crores is cash-based entitlements. For example, Narega itself is 24,000 crores. And then scholarships, pensions, Janani Suraksha Yojana, Indira Awas Yojana, service pensions, old age pension, disability pension, widow's pension, maternal benefits, there are all kinds of programs. And they all add up to 150,000 crores. And another 150,000 crores is the subsidies. That is the embedded subsidy in the fertilizer price, in the kerosene price, LPG price, and so forth. So if those become direct, that's the other part of it. So that's how this figure has been arrived at.
Can you give me an example as to how, in say delivery of kerosene and LPG, both of which we are told are getting misused? How will it work on the ground?
Let's take LPG.
Give our viewer an idea.
Yeah, see, let's take LPG. LPG today, the subsidy is embedded in the price of the product, right? So whether you buy a LPG, I buy LPG, we pay 300 rupees or 350 rupees, and the actual price may be 700 rupees or 800 rupees or whatever. So in effect, you and I are getting a subsidy from the government, even though we should not be getting that subsidy from the government. So tomorrow, what will happen is, over time, the price will go to a market price, and the deserving will get a cash subsidy into the bank account.
Okay.
So what happens then is that you have much clearer visibility of subsidies being transferred to the deserving, and it also unlocks the oil marketing companies from bearing that. So they can run more as normal, commercial organizations.
And in the case of, say,
same thing in kerosene.
In the case of Narega?
Narega is different. See, the difference is subsidy is today embedded in the price of a product.
I know.
So you're uncoupling that. Narega is already a cash payment.
It's already cash payment.
Narega already says that if you work for, say, 5 days, you get 500 rupees. There, this network streamlines the money reaching the person.
Okay. Currently, for instance, in Narega, roughly people say about 30% leakage happens because it at the sarpanch level it gets siphoned off.
Yeah, but remember that the Narega also has a non-beneficiary part, because 30% of the money goes for works. So this doesn't address that part. This addresses the part which deals with money which goes as wages.
Okay, this addresses only that part.
Okay.
And last question, Nandan, your book, Imagining India, also talks about India, needing its own homegrown solutions. Now, when you say homegrown solutions to transform the way we work in various spheres of public life, social life, what would you term as some of the key issues?
No, I think obviously India has some unique challenges. Scale, 1.2 billion people. Speed, we don't have too much time to solve these things. Diversity, different languages, different cultures, different religions, different ethnicity, caste, all that. Then we have the challenge of a federal structure, where central government, we have states, we have urban local bodies. So when you look at all that, when you craft a solution for this world, you need to be sensitive to these various dimensions, but still use the power of what we know of technology. See, what's happened is the internet has changed the game, because today when you go to these large internet, Facebook and Google and all these guys, they have data, they have huge databases. I mean, so, and videos, this and that. So technology now gives a scale. So if you
So you need to marry that with political and cultural sensitivity.
exactly, you have to marry the technology to the political and social economy of India, and craft solutions which address the autonomy at the same time give the platform benefit.
Thanks, Nandan, for this lovely conversation.
Thanks.
And that's all we have in this edition of State of the Economy. We'll be back with another guest soon. Thank you. Goodbye.